If you're over 40 and you've noticed your stomach holding on to fat in a way it never used to, even though you're eating the same, working out the same, maybe even trying harder than you did in your 30s, I need you to hear this. It's not you. It's not a lack of willpower. And it's definitely not just getting older in some vague, hopeless way. There are four specific things happening inside your body right now that are actively working against you. And once you understand what they are, you can work with your body instead of fighting it. That's what this video is about. No supplements to sell you, no 21-day miracle plan, just the actual biology and what to do about it. Cut calories harder, barely moves the needle, or worse, you lose weight everywhere except your midsection. Added more cardio. You're now spending 5 hours a week on the treadmill, and your waistline hasn't changed. Maybe you've even done a juice cleanse or cut out entire food groups, because at this point you're willing to try almost anything, and the scale might even go down a little. But the belly stays, stubborn, almost like it's protected. That's not in your head. Your body after 40 is playing by a different rule book than it was at 25, hormonally, metabolically, structurally. The strategies that worked in your 20s and early 30s are, in some cases, actively working against you now. The problem is almost nobody explains why. You get told, eat less, move more, like it's 1995, and when that doesn't work, the implication is that you're doing it wrong. You're not. You're using an outdated map for new terrain. So let's actually map the terrain. I'm going to walk you through the four biological shifts driving stubborn belly fat after 40, and for each one, exactly what you can do about it. Stick with me. The second half of this video is where it gets actionable. I've cut calories and nothing's changing, or I'm working out more but my stomach looks the same. Drop a comment. I actually read them, and it helps me know what to cover next. Okay, reason number one. Starting around age 30 and accelerating after 40, you lose muscle mass every single year if you're not actively working to preserve it. This is called sarcopenia, and most people don't feel it happening because it's gradual. Roughly 3 to 8% of your muscle mass per decade, and that rate speeds up after 40. Here's why that matters for belly fat specifically. Muscle is metabolically expensive tissue. It burns calories even at rest, just sitting there. Fat doesn't. So as muscle quietly leaves your body and gets replaced with fat, which it does, pound for pound if you're not intervening, your resting metabolic rate drops. You're now burning fewer calories doing absolutely nothing every single day than you were a decade ago. That means the exact same diet and exercise routine that maintained your weight at 32 will cause weight gain at 42 because your engine is smaller. And critically, the body tends to redistribute this new fat toward the abdominal area rather than spreading it evenly, which is why it shows up as belly fat specifically, not just more fat everywhere. The fix isn't more cardio. It's resistance training at least 2 to 3 times a week, focused on major muscle groups, legs, back, chest, core. You don't need to become a bodybuilder. You need to send your body a consistent signal that says, keep this muscle, we're using it. Even 2 sessions a week, done consistently, measurably slows or reverses this process. This one surprises people. Cortisol is your primary stress hormone, and after 40, most people are walking around with chronically elevated baseline cortisol, not from one big stressful event, but from years of accumulated, low-grade, constant stress. Work, caregiving, poor sleep, financial pressure, just modern life. Cortisol's job, biologically, is to prepare you for a threat. Part of that response is telling your body to store fat centrally, around your organs, in your abdomen, because your body, in survival mode, thinks it needs quick energy reserves close to your core. This is called visceral fat, and it's specifically the type that accumulates around the belly. Here's the cruel twist. Elevated cortisol also increases cravings for high-sugar, high-fat comfort foods, and it disrupts sleep. And poor sleep raises cortisol further the next day. It's a loop that reinforces itself. You cannot out-diet chronically elevated cortisol. This is why someone can be in a calorie deficit and still hold on to belly fat. The hormonal environment is telling their body to store fat centrally, regardless of what the scale says overall. Practically, prioritize 7 to 9 hours of sleep as a non-negotiable, not an aspiration. Build in actual recovery. Walking, time outdoors, breathing exercises, whatever genuinely lowers your stress, not just distracts from it. And be honest with yourself about whether your current exercise routine is adding to your stress load. High intensity training every single day with no recovery can actually raise cortisol further in someone who's already overstressed. If this is connecting some dots for you, do me a favor and hit subscribe. I break down the why behind stuff like this every week, not just generic tips. All right, reason number 3, and this is a big one. As we age, our cells naturally become less responsive to insulin, the hormone that shuttles sugar out of your bloodstream and into your cells for energy or storage. This is a well-documented gradual shift that tends to accelerate in your 40s and 50s. When your cells are less sensitive to insulin, your pancreas compensates by producing more of it to get the same job done. And insulin, at elevated levels, is a fat storage hormone. It specifically promotes storing fat in the abdominal region and makes it harder for your body to access and burn fat you already have stored there. So the same plate of pasta that had a mild, brief impact on your blood sugar at 28 can now cause a bigger insulin spike at 45. And more insulin circulating more often means more signals to your body to store fat centrally and hold on to it. This doesn't mean carbs are the enemy. It means how you eat them matters more than it used to. Pairing carbohydrates with protein, fat, and fiber slows the glucose spike significantly. Eating refined carbs in isolation, like a bagel by itself or juice on an empty stomach, creates a much sharper spike than eating that same carb alongside eggs or alongside a source of fat. 2 practical levers here. First, increase fiber intake, particularly from vegetables and legumes. Fiber slows digestion and blunts insulin response. Second, walk after meals if you can, even 10 minutes. Muscle contraction pulls glucose out of your bloodstream without even needing much insulin to do it. It's one of the simplest, most underused tools for improving insulin sensitivity. This applies differently depending on your biology, but the underlying theme is the same. After 40, both estrogen, in women, especially heading into perimenopause and menopause, and testosterone, in men, decline. And both of these hormones play a direct role in where your body chooses to store fat. In women, estrogen actually has a protective effect that favors storing fat in the hips and thighs rather than the abdomen. As estrogen drops through perimenopause and menopause, fat storage patterns shift toward the belly. This is one of the most consistent findings in the research on midlife body composition changes in women, and it's a direct hormonal shift, not a discipline issue. In men, declining testosterone is associated with both a drop in muscle mass, which we already covered, and an increase specifically in visceral abdominal fat. Lower testosterone and higher abdominal fat actually feed each other in a loop because fat tissue itself produces enzymes that further convert testosterone into estrogen, compounding the shift. I want to be really clear about something here. You cannot supplement or diet your way around hormonal changes like this alone, but you can work with the pattern instead of against it. The resistance training from step 1 becomes even more important here because it's one of the few interventions shown to help preserve both muscle mass and healthy hormone signaling as you age. If you're concerned your hormone shifts are more significant than typical age-related change, unusually rapid weight gain, extreme fatigue, or other symptoms, that's worth an actual conversation with a doctor and possibly blood work, not another YouTube video. Okay, let's zoom out for a second, because I don't want you to leave this video overwhelmed. 4 biological shifts, sure, but there's actually a lot of overlap in the solution. Let me pull it together. Here's what I want you to notice. The solutions to all 4 of these issues are almost the same short list. Resistance training addresses muscle loss directly, helps regulate cortisol over time, improves insulin sensitivity, and supports healthy hormone signaling. It's doing quadruple duty. Prioritizing sleep and managing chronic stress lowers cortisol, which improves insulin sensitivity and reduces cravings that make everything else harder. Eating protein and fiber at each meal and pairing carbs instead of eating them isolated blunts insulin spikes and supports the muscle you're building in the gym. You don't need 5 separate protocols. You need to consistently do 3 or 4 things that each solve multiple problems at once. That's genuinely the whole strategy. The reason it doesn't feel that simple is that most fat loss content treats symptoms, eat less, instead of the actual mechanisms underneath, which is what we just walked through. The belly fat that shows up after 40 isn't a mystery, and it isn't a moral failing. It's your muscle, your cortisol, your insulin sensitivity, and your hormones all shifting at once. Address the mechanisms, and the outcome follows. If you want the specific weekly structure I recommend, how to actually schedule resistance training, walks, and meals around this, so it's not just information but an actual plan, I've got a video breaking that down exactly, linked right here, and I'd start there next. If this video helped connect some dots for you, subscribe. This channel is entirely built around explaining the why behind stuff like this, not just handing you another list of tips without context. And if you know someone over 40 who's frustrated with the same thing, send them this video. It might save them years of blaming themselves for something that was never about willpower in the first place. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next one.